Well, hello and welcome to Kate's Paper Creations. I have a little thing to share with you. As you saw on the title page, this is a blast from the past. So there was a stamp set that's retired called Sheltering Tree, and I and a bunch of my friends got together and we made these beautiful framed art pieces that you can see here. And I wanted to make some more for some gifts for this year, so I decided to pull that stamp set out and do it. So I'm calling this a blast from the past, and I'll show you a little bit about how I made that piece. Now, I did incorporate my silhouette Cameo in this process and used it to create the printing that went on the cards. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under heaven. So here's the 4 pieces, and I lined up all the text and everything on these in my silhouette so that when I mount them in the frame, they will all line up. Okay, so that's the first thing I did, and it cuts them out to the right size to fit the frame. I got this frame from Michael's. If you watch, every so often they put them on sale, buy one get one free, so they're basically half price, and that's a really good deal. So I will put the link to these frames in the comments below the video. Now, to mount these, what I did, I'm going to move this so it's kind of centered, is I used my temporary or removable adhesive so that I could adjust them as I went along, and I just put a strip around all 4 sides like this on all of the pieces. So that there's a little bit of temporary tape. This makes it so I can take them up and put them back down, move them around, make sure that everything's lined up just exactly how I want it, and it's all that's needed to hold them in place once you put the frame back together as well. It holds pretty well, so it works pretty good for me. So there's the temporary tape on the back, and then I would just take one of these, lay it on the grid using that. You're not going to get the whole thing in my frame because of where it sits, but then I just kind of eyeball side to side. That looks pretty good. Press it into place. And there's that piece, and see the temporary holds it in place. And then the next one. And this is, I didn't try to like figure out a way to measure these into place. I just kind of eyeballed them. And I want this and a time to line up with the to everything there is a season, and I look back and I go, oh, that's just a little bit crooked, let's straighten that one up. So it takes a little bit of time. That looks better, and that's pressed into place. And then this top line and this top line are what I want to line up, and then of course side to side as well. And I'm just gonna do that. So that's how I did it, and then let me get one that's done. Well, I thought it was done. Here we go. And so then we'll just put this last piece in here so that you can see, and I don't have to take so much time, because I'm going to make 6 of them, so I'm kind of into mass production here. So I'm going to stick them in the frames, and then I'm going to stamp them once they're in the frames. And if I make a mistake, well, I'll just go print another one. You know, life goes on, and they're just stuck with temporary tape, so they will be easily and then when you get done, you just kind of hold it up and make sure that you've kind of got everything lined up the way you want it, and then they're ready to stamp. And I'm happy with that. So then I'm just going to, I've done all 6 of the frames like this, and then I'm just going to start stamping with the first one. And for the first one, I used these 3 colors. I used Granny Apple Green, Flirty Flamingo, and Early Espresso. So Early Espresso will always be the brown that I use for the tree, the basic tree skeleton. And the Granny Apple Green, that's going to change. The green is going to change each time for each frame, because I also followed the seasons. As you saw in the original, there's spring, summer, fall, and winter. And so there's the grass and Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to just put that grass right there. And then I'm going to put the tree on. Like this. There's my tree. And then the lovely leaves are going to be pink, like a flowering cherry tree. And I'm going to stamp that twice, once full strength, like that. And then I'm going to slightly offset it, just raise it up just a hair, and stamp it again for a second time, and that kind of gives it a fullness. So there's the tree. Then the little swing that comes with the stamp set. Find my swing. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. And I'm going to just stamp that with Memento Black. And it just kind of hangs from this one little branch, just right like that. There's the swing. Then there's a couple of little tufts of flowers around the tree. So there is some grass, a little grass stamp. And again, that's the Granny Apple Green. I'm just going to put a little bit there and a little bit over here. And then I'm going to stamp some flowers with the little flower stamp, and I'm just going to use the pink again, just like that. And there's panel 1 all ready to go. Isn't that beautiful? So I'll just keep going. I'll be back with more in just a moment. So that's spring, and spring is done, and I noticed when I got done that there was just a tiny smudge up here. So I added some birds to cover that up, and those birds came from the Mountaineer stamp set that we have that's current. So next we're going to do the next panel, and it's going to be with Old Olive for the green, and we're going to put that up next. And again, you're going to kind of just line up the grass side by side. I want some tufts on this as well, so I'm going to go over here and over here, but there's not going to be any flowers on it this time. It'll just be grass. Then we got the tree skeleton again. And something I realized while I was working here is that I'm getting ink on the edge of my blocks, and then that might cause smudges, so I'm being a little more cautious with the smudging. And there's the tree, and then this part of the tree, again, that's just going to be the Old Olive. And make sure I didn't get any. Nope. Okay. And just like I did before, I'm going to offset it a little bit and add some filler so it's got some different shading. And this one gets the bicycle, and the bicycle stamp had 2 parts. It had the bicycle part, and then it had the frame part, and you might want to practice a little bit so you know how to place that. I have figured that out, but you're going to want to do that for yourself so you can see how it works. And we're going to park that bike right here against the tree stump like this, just like that. And then the frame is next, and it's not really hard to figure out. You can tell which parts go down to the spokes and which part comes across in the handlebars. And there's the frame, and there's number 2 panel. Okay, the next panel is going to be fall, and for fall I'm going to use the old olive again for the grass. We're just going to stay with old olive for that. For panel number 3. Make sure I don't have ink on the edges of my stamp. And here's panel 3. And I'm not going to put any tufts of grass on this one, and you'll see why in a minute. And then we're going to add the grass rake to this one when we get ready here. So I can get my skeleton here first, my tree skeleton. Make sure we don't have ink where we don't want it. And plant my tree like that. And then the leaves are going to be Mango Melody. So I want to get my thing and clean my stamp really, really well. Make sure there isn't any green on it. Stamp it off here on my scrap work over here. Looks good. Okay, so Mango Melody. Here we go. Let me get my stamp. So this is a fall tree. The leaves have turned orange. We've had a frost and the color has changed. And there we go. And there's my beautiful fall tree. And then because, oh, I need my little flower stamp. This little one that I used to make the flowers in the first one is going to become a little tiny pile of leaves. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to stamp it several times and create a pile of leaves like that. And then the rake, as I said, is going to be in soft suede. And the handle of the rake is just going to lean up against the tree. Clean off my block like that. And there's my rake touching the leaves and leaning up against the tree. So there is panel number 3. Now panel number 4 is going to be the winter scene, and in the set there's a really lovely little group of snowflake style things there, and we're going to use a blue. Now I'm not sure in my blast from the past what blue I used before, but I think I'm going to try Pacific Point. Let's test it and see if I like it. Let's clean our stamp, and let's get a piece of scrap paper up here because I want to test this at first and see if I like that. There's Pacific Point, and it actually, an original, it looks pretty dark, but when I go with that it's a little bit lighter. Let's see, what other blues do we have? I could try the new Misty Moonlight. We could try that. Let's play a little bit here. I should have figured this out before I got you on the video, but you get to follow along and see how I trial and error sometimes. So here's our Misty Moonlight. I'm not sure I'm happy with that either. Let's see. I want it to be a really bright blue. How about, we can try Balmy Blue. I think that might be the winner. Let's try it. Just have to work with what you got. Obviously the color that I used previously is no longer available, and I did part with those. I think I'm going to stick with Balmy Blue. So let's do it. Let's just do it. So here's my ground, because it's got snow. It's going to be kind of a blue snow like that. All right. And then we're going to do the tree skeleton again with early espresso. Clean up my block so I don't get ink where I don't want it. There we go. And then we're gonna do more. We're gonna stick with our balmy blue and do the, make sure my stamp is clean and make sure I got all the ink off of it so that it doesn't get all muddy on me. There we go. Okay, so let's put some blue. And actually we didn't put, you know, I had to think again. I didn't put this on the last one because the leaves have all fallen off. It's the middle of winter. I wasn't thinking what I'm going to use the blue for is these lovely little snowflakes. And they are going to just go all around the tree and down to the ground. And so there's going to be a lot of stamping of these lovely little snowflakes. And it's just coming together. It's so cute. And I think that's enough snowflakes. So there's my snowflakes. And then I wanted a little tiny red bird in my tree. Oops, my thing moved. Hopefully you can still see. And I couldn't find one. In all of my stamp sets, I did not have a little tiny red bird. So I went to my silhouette machines, and I have what is called a silhouette, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but you can make stamps. So I made a little tiny red bird stamp, and it's already pre-inked, and so it comes out really soft colored. And so I am going to put my little bird on a branch here, and it's just kind of tricky to do, but there's the little bird there. And then I think I'll put a little bird over here somewhere. And there's a little bird there. And there are my 4 panels all done, ready to put in the frame. And it just looks really, really lovely, I think. So I hope you enjoyed this blast from the past. Maybe you've got this stamp set in your stash and you haven't used it for a while and you were wondering, what am I going to do with that? Will I ever use it again? Maybe this has inspired you to try something new. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.